Welcome back to Have You Heard, the social media podcast by us here at The Social Shepherd. My name is Zoe, I'm one of the co-founders, and today I'm joined by
Tash.
Sophia.
Lovely. And today we're going to talk about Gen Z and Gen Alpha, which is super exciting. Before we get stuck in though, can you just remind the listeners of your job titles and what you do here?
I'm Tash. I'm a paid social director here at The Social Shepherd. I deliver paid campaigns for our clients.
Lovely. Sophia?
I'm Sophia. I'm social creative, so I basically just make TikToks.
You do more than that, Sophia.
Do so much more than make TikToks.
It's not, and also TikToks are important, okay?
No. People actually think making TikToks is easy. The strategy behind it, let me actually just correct you on that. No, I make TikToks, help out with strategy, SEO, everything creative that goes into social is what I do.
Lovely, fabulous. Well, thank you for joining. You've been on the podcast before,
I
have
have
you?
not. This is my first time.
We've both not been on the I'm so excited.
Oh my God, podcast virgins.
So gassed.
Cool. Okay. Well, today we get to talk about Gen Z and Gen Alpha. So before we get stuck in, for everyone listening, I just want to make it clear because quite often whenever we're talking about this, we're like, what's the age range again? So Gen Z is anyone that is currently between the ages of 13 and 28 years old. And Gen Alpha is anyone between the ages of 0 and 12 years old currently. So we've got very different generations. You're looking at me differently. Is that incorrect?
No, there's like a couple.
That's what ChatGPT told me.
We're technically on the cusp.
Well, I'm on the cusp. I'm millennial, but I'm very close
We're
to
Gen Z,
Alpha.
but we could nearly be millennial.
What do you feel like?
I feel like you're Gen Z, I'm millennial.
I would say that. Sorry, you're
Why are you
giving
saying
live, laugh,
sorry?
laugh a bit more.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, that's actually quite jokes. No, I feel like I switch though. Like sometimes I'm like, no, I want to be millennial, but then sometimes I'm like Gen Z.
You're 100% Gen Z.
Mariah, correct me. Did you think those age ranges were wrong?
I think it was 2010, the Gen Alpha, so 2010 to 2024.
I've got 2013 to 2025.
I mean, I feel like that makes sense though, no?
Basically, anyone that's super young is a Gen Alpha. Anyone that is like moving into teens to adulthood is a Gen Z. Yep. So Gen Z are in the workplace, Gen Alpha are not in the workplace because they're babies. But a couple of differences between them. So I think both of these generations, Gen Z is the first generation that has been fully digitally native. I feel like I, as a millennial, was pretty digitally native, but I'm on the young side of a millennial, whereas actually I had a very different digital experience to someone who is in their early 40s, who is still a millennial. So Gen Z were the first ones to be fully digitally native, and they were the first generation to grow up with social media, smartphone streaming as standards. They also have grown up through the rise of social justice movements, climate activation, the pandemic, and economic instability. Some of the traits for anyone that might want to know of a Gen Z is they are pragmatic, financially curious, diverse, entrepreneurial, and value-driven.
Okay.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, do you feel like that's you?
Does that encapsulate you?
I feel like it's like different Gen Z have different goals. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think some of it applies to me, but some of it I would be like, maybe not.
Then going on to Gen Alpha, so their traits. So they were born into a world of where AI has been coming up, voice assistants, gamified learning, smart devices. That's why you play your games on your phone. You're giving Gen Alpha there. They were raised during the COVID era. They've seen a lot of tech acceleration. You know, when they were born, people were speaking to their Amazon Alexa.
Yeah, that's so true, actually. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. Gen Alpha, iPad kids.
It says YouTube kids, Roblox, Minecraft, TikTok.
Yeah, and apparently some of that came out of the pandemic because where they were at home and parents working from home, they were given iPads or YouTube videos to keep them entertained during that COVID period. And the other fun fact that we had was that apparently the average 1-year-old that is a Gen Alpha, there are 100 photos of them on social media before their first birthday.
How crazy.
Whoa.
Because you know how like parents will like make Instagram accounts for like their kids so then they can grow up.
Saving the name, saving the app.
Yeah, literally. Saving the app, but also the kid can see themselves growing up.
I don't know if I would do an Instagram account. I would maybe do like a Google Drive.
The Google Drive. That's your millennial speaking.
Yeah. But maybe if the Instagram account was private.
So
Yeah.
a lot of them are private. Yeah. So I think it's like, so they have like almost like a digital diary, because I think even us, like I use Instagram as a digital diary. Like I think it's moved from switching as like a social platform that you would only go on and like and scroll and stuff, but more as like a storytelling platform. I think it's coming into, and like almost like a digital diary that I think people can look back on. So I don't know if I'd do that if I had kids. I feel like that would be a tiny bit scary.
I mean, I do understand the digital diary. I think that's how I treat my Instagram, is that like I want to be able to look back on these things, and like sometimes I'm just like posting things to keep it on file type thing.
That's what I'm saying. So I feel like nobody actually uses Instagram just to go and look at an influencer anymore, or like posts and all of that. It's such a like, I think it's becoming more and more personal. I think that's just where social's going.
Yeah, with the Finsters as well.
Yeah.
Secondary Insta accounts. Jen, did you have one?
I used to have one, but I deleted it.
I've never had a Finsta.
No, me neither.
Is it just to like spy on people?
You can spy on people. I used to post like memes.
Yeah, and post like funny photos that you wouldn't put on your main Insta.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay. Like Olivia Nail's Oliver Toenail.
Yeah, exactly that.
But yes, Gen Alpha are also highly visual learners, tech fluent, creative, and personalized experience seekers. What I'd like to start with was going through some common misconceptions. And I've got marketing ones, but the one I want to talk about, because we have you in the room, and I think it's always really, well, both of you actually, sorry. We're labeling you, you're Gen Z too.
Only just.
Just clinging to that cusp. The stereotype that Gen Z is lazy in the workplace. And you two very much disband that. Like, you work so hard,
Thank
both
you
of
so
you.
much.
So
Thank
I
you.
just want to clarify that. But I think, like, my frustration on it is that, to me, that's just coming into the workplace. Sometimes people don't know what's going to hit them.
I think a lot of it comes from COVID. Like, I had a couple of years of work before, like full-time work before COVID hit, and that was 5 days a week in the office. And I think now working patterns have changed, and we're not doing 5 days, we're doing hybrid. Some people are fully remote. The perception of lazy is because a lot of it is work from home, and Gen Z would prefer to stay at home if they can do their job from there. So I think a lot of it comes from that.
Yeah, I do stand by the thing, and I do think if you fully work remote, it hinders your personal progression.
Yeah, I agree.
100%. Yeah.
I completely agree. But there's a middle ground, right? And I think there's still a lot of people who would have us in 5 days, which I don't know if it would work in this.
I mean, there still are some companies that have people in 5 days. I mean, I'm in the office 5 days a week. I live a 3-minute walk away from the office, and I also own the company with my husband. So I'm probably going to come into the office.
Yeah, that's valid.
But I understand, particularly when you're in such a creative role, like when you're on shoots all the time, and they can be quite tiring and stuff. Like, I like the mix. I think it's important for team members to have a mix.
I just think the attitudes from Gen Z and office attendance, and also working away from home, is slightly different because they haven't grown up with the 5 days. They don't know what it's like to come into the office 5 days.
So their like base level expectation
Exactly, yeah.
is higher
Yeah.
on what their job should give them than people who had experience of that pre-COVID.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I started my career, I had worked at 2 agencies in Bristol, so I was either getting the bus or the train. That was pretty tiring. I was leaving home at 6:30 every day and not getting home until 7:30.
Yeah, I did the same commute, 2 hours each way. But now looking back, I don't know how I did it, but you just did it.
It was kind of like that expectation. Whereas now I think the expectation is, I actually don't think a lot of people would interview for a role if it wasn't hybrid. I think if someone said to me, I'm recruiting for a 5-day office job, I'd actually say no. Because I think it's also the laziness misconception, I think, comes in because when you're working from home, a lot of the time, personally, when I work from home, I don't even take a lunch break because I'm just like
Zoned in.
and just going for it.
I mean, that's not. Can we just clarify? You should take your lunch break.
Take your lunch break. But I think it's easier for me to be like, oh, okay, well, if I have worked my lunch, let me just take a second at home
Yeah,
to like
in the afternoon. I'll grab
in
some
the
food
afternoon,
now. Yeah.
like go on a walk or something along those lines.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like, flexibility goes both ways, and I think provided there's trust between both parties, like I think that should be the case. And look, like we work in a marketing agency, as you guys both know, sometimes it's pretty intense. And like, I think that's where sometimes maybe the misconception comes in, is that maybe some younger Gen Z team members, they come in and they don't necessarily know what they're signing up to. Like when you work in an agency, you kind of have to sacrifice it. It's going to be a bit intense sometimes, but that also means that, you know, you have a doctor's appointment or you've got a lighter Friday afternoon, like don't ask me if you need, just go. Do you know what I mean? Because the trust is there, and I know that you've done the late nights when the late nights need to be done.
I think there's just a bit of an expectation gap between potentially older team members who are used to the 5 days and then Gen Z or Gen Alpha when they get there, who are not used to it and expect to have that kind of...
Have you come across peers, friends that have the attitude that people stereotypically ply Gen Z with?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But maybe I just surround myself with good people.
No, I think it's like nobody's ever outrightly said it, but I think like even from like my parents, they'll be like, oh, well, you don't need to work. You don't need to go in 5 days a week. You're at home. So can you just do X, Y, Z right now? And I'm like, no, I actually am working. Just because I'm not in an office doesn't mean I don't have back-to-back calls some days, or like just need to zone in and lock in and I need you to not actually speak to me. So I think it's mainly from maybe like the boomers.
The boomers. I mean, fair.
Yeah, I don't think millennial Gen Z have ever. I think maybe like if you're on the older side of millennial, where they're like cusping. But
I think I think the only time you ever see Gen Z not dedicated and not willing to put the work in at work is when they're not passionate about the
Yeah,
work
I would
that they
agree.
do.
oh, fully, yes, agree. Yeah.
And you can tell. You can tell a mile off. If you're not bought in, you can tell. But when they are bought in, they are committed, they are passionate, they care. And like they'll tell you whenever it's intense, but it won't be like a moan. It'll be like, it's been intense right now. And we'll be like, okay, let's get you a little bit more balance. Like, what can we do here to manage that? And that open communication is super important. Okay, misconception put to bed. They're not lazy. Okay, so I've got some, well, they're not really misconceptions. They're kind of talking points for us to go through. So what would you guys think about the statement that Gen Alpha is too young to matter to marketers?
I think that's naive, to be completely honest. Like, they can influence family purchasing decisions, and we are priming them for when they will have their own purchasing power. It's more of a long-term investment, I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And there's also, it's easier to reach that demographic of people than it ever has been throughout other generations because of how digitally native they are and how active they are on those platforms. So I think it's better for the brands that are trying to reach those younger demographics, but I think it is probably silly for people not to. Yeah, and like the way that they speak, the way that they think, like we know that it tends to be so Gen Z is considered the most influential generation at this point in time, because if Gen Z accepts something, it's more likely to be widely accepted by other generations just because their disposable income, et cetera, et cetera. That will be Gen Alpha one day, and they might get to it quicker. So I think that's, like you said, I think that's naive to think that marketers shouldn't think about Gen Alpha.
Yeah, I also think, like you say, Gen Z are the most influential. They're so good at setting trends through platforms like TikTok and things like that. And Gen Alpha will get there if they're not there already. So
yeah, like Skibbity Toilet.
yeah, I still don't get that.
I still actually don't understand that like fully.
Have you seen the videos?
Yeah, but I just don't get it. I'm like, who has done this? Like, where has it come from?
I'm surprised you don't get it.
To be fair, there was something on Fortnite about it that my brother was telling me about.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, valid. Yeah, still don't get it. But I think stuff like that is funny. Yeah. Because it's like, that's just come out of nowhere. But people are like jumping on it. Brands are jumping on it. It's just spiraling a bit.
I know. My favorite is Ohio. Like, that's so Ohio.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so...
Wait,
No?
You don't know that one, Sophia.
Sophia.
Am I not Gen Z?
No, that's Gen Alpha. I think that's Gen Alpha, that one.
Oh, is it?
It's like, that's so
It's really hard to explain.
mid kind of.
Oh,
Should we get a definition?
Ohio is used to describe something that's weird, awkward, cringeworthy, or otherwise undesirable or bad. Kind of replaces chuggy.
Yeah, chuggy. I use that all the time.
I don't think I've ever said it out loud.
What chuggy? Like if you came in with a Jane Norman bag, I'd be like, Sophia, that's chuggy.
Jane Norman.
Jane Norman, yeah.
Debenham's classic.
Paul's Boutique.
Yeah.
Chuggy.
Oh, chuggy.
Ohio.
Gen Alpha can only be reached through parents.
I think that's untrue.
That's so untrue. Especially if they're growing up with iPads literally attached or phones or whatever. Unless there's like parental,
Even if there are parental controls, you can still reach them.
I suppose that maybe the really young Gen Alphas, possibly not yet.
Yes. I mean, like 1 year old.
Maybe through some of the content they consume, but for the older ones, for sure, like 10 plus, they're probably on social media, right? Is that legal?
I mean, it's not, but they are on social. So, yeah, they've actually increased the ages of social now. I think they've
Oh,
gone up
really?
we did a podcast on it a while back. I believe it's gone up to 17 in
Really?
some countries.
oh, wow.
Because it was always 13 for us and we all lied about our age.
It's gone up to 16, 17 in some. I think it was Australia really amped it up. And then, it has gone up. But like, I had Facebook when I was 11. Like, and you weren't
And
supposed to.
Bebo.
Oh, Bebo.
Did you have Bebo? Okay.
I remember I used to like, you know, when you had to add like your friends in your little bio and then when they annoyed you, you take them out.
MSN?
Yes.
Did you guys use MSN?
I never had it because I didn't have a webcam.
Why do you need a web? It's just text-based messenger.
No, I know, but all of my pals would like now FaceTime each other on it.
That's the Gen Z.
Yeah, we were all text-based.
Yeah, there was no video calling happening. There's one really weird video app when we were younger, and you would go on it.
With strangers. Yes. Amigo.
Yes!
Oh,
That was not okay. I was like, I saw things that those eyes should not have seen at that age.
We were like 12.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Gen Alphas are not there.
I mean, they will be. They're going to be exposed to so like Bonnie Blue. Like, I guarantee if you spoke to some like even 9-year-old boys, they'd probably know about who Bonnie Blue is.
that's crazy. Oh, I guess because she's so like on
TikTok.
Do we think that for Gen Alpha, I don't necessarily know if it's access to tech that's the bad thing. I actually think access to tech can be quite a good thing because they can learn and stuff. The reason I love social is because it gives everyone a voice, but some people abuse that voice, and not everyone has a voice politely that should be listened to. But I think there's two ways I kind of look at it. Either they're gonna grow up with such amazing critical thinking skills because they're going to be bombarded with such information from a young age, or people are just going to cling to certain things like the Andrew Tate incel stuff that we saw. What was that show that came out about? The one that was filmed in one take. Yeah, like all of that kind of stuff. That owned schools in the UK for about a year, where like these young boys were just watching that type of content. So I think social is quite dangerous from that perspective for young people. But I think once hopefully they get through that, I think they will have quite good critical thinking skills. I'd like to hope, provided they're being taught to do that.
I think the other thing is possibly attention spans. I was reading an article and basically Gen Z and Gen Alpha have much shorter attention spans through things like TikTok because they're so used to that short form content, whereas when we were kids we'd sit down and watch the Saucony Jolies for 20 minutes on YouTube, for example, which is slightly different to the type of content they're consuming now.
Do you ever find it if I've spent too long on TikTok, my patience runs thin anyway, as most people know.
I get angry at myself. I'm like, this needs to stop.
Yeah, I do too. But if I get extra impatient, I know it's because I spent too long on like a quick source of serotonin boost type of social media. Whereas if you spent a whole lot of time on like Reddit or YouTube, for example, it doesn't rage you as much as the other platforms.
I agree. I think YouTube in particular, I've definitely gone back to it. Like, I think I had that short form buzz from something like Vine.
Oh, I miss Vine.
Loved Vine. But I think my patience for short form content, people try and there's so many voices, so many opinions, which I love. But I think it's like, how many do I listen to when I'm scrolling? I'm like, oh, everyone's a different opinion. Whereas on YouTube, I'm going to someone like Emma Chamberlain and watching like her 40-minute vlog, and I'm suddenly okay with the world. So I think it's
They
just
have
finding
different
that
impacts
balance.
on your mental health. And I think like, you know, we work in marketing. TikTok is great for many things, but I would not be suggesting people to themselves, let their kids or anyone spend. And that, I do this. So I'm a walking hypocrite right now, but like spend longer than like 45 minutes to an hour on that platform a day.
I even like time it on my phone. Like I have a set timer, but I'm always like, remind me in 15 minutes. I don't know. It's just that like,
I have it too, but I always turn it off. But you come out of a TikTok watching session and you don't feel calm. Come out of watching a YouTube, like people go to sleep watching YouTube because it's the pace. It's like the rhythms, and it's like whenever you listen to like music of a certain BPM, for example, to calm down or to get into like a workflow. So yeah, I wonder. I hope we don't just have like a whole generation of angry people.
I know that's what I'm saying, because I think their like critical thinking skills most definitely would be developed, but it's like, to what extent? How many opinions are they listening to? How are they forming their own opinions? So I think it's definitely like a give and take situation on time limit bans.
Do we think that because of the amount of content and opinions that younger generations will be served from such a young age, that I'm struggling to like articulate what I'm trying to say here, but they will know instinctively not to listen to all of those opinions?
I'm not sure. I have noticed recently, though, more de-influencing in inverted commas on platforms, creators coming forward and saying, actually, this product's not that good. Everyone's just promoting it at the moment, because it's so easy now for creators on TikTok, say, to advertise things through Shop or with commission or whatever. So I think that's part of it. People are getting more savvy to ads. Yeah. But I don't know if a younger generation would recognize it straight away.
I think critical thinking is one of the things that like we lack as like a generation, and I see it a lot of the time when people come out of uni and stuff, because you're taught your entire life to take in information and regurgitate it, and then whenever you get into a professional world, how you level up in your career is you can actually form your own opinions. So you can get information gathered from multiple different sources, pair that with your expertise and real life experience in something, and go, actually, I don't agree with that statement because of these reasons, or I agree with this part of your statement, but I'd like to challenge you in this shape or form. And that is, I think, one of the hardest things to teach younger millennials and Gen Z to do these days, and also having the confidence to be able to do it, because a lot of this is hiding behind a screen.
I think that's it. Having the confidence to challenge like more senior team members is something that's really, really hard to do and to teach as well. I don't know what the solution is, but definitely some work to be done.
It's funny though, because in our realm, like say we worked in, I don't know, a CRM agency or something like a more traditional industry within marketing, you kind of have this top-down approach where like naturally the more years of experience you have, the more you're going to know, and you're going to have the valid is the wrong word, but the most concrete opinions on things. Whereas in our industry, actually, you've had probably, you started on social probably younger than I started on social, and so it's kind of you've got the expertise like just from instinct and native awareness of something from a younger age, but then you haven't got the critical thinking and the opinion forming skills. So there's the softer skills are stronger at your more senior levels, but the actual expertise and ability to make tasteful decisions for an audience is actually from your younger generations. So we're just in a completely different workplace.
Yeah, I would agree. Half the trends that come through that sometimes the team do content for, no idea.
But then trends are like, you're in an ecosystem, like literally like if you just look at your FYP, you're going to think that that's what everyone is talking about, when actually like we talked about this with Katie and Lucy the other day, and we were talking about pop culture, and Lucy was like Lady Gaga, and because she just had a new album release, I believe, or something. And Katie and I were like, no, that's not on our FYPs. And so you have to be really careful, particularly if you're in creative and coming up with trending ideas, because you could so easily be pitching something like, this is everywhere, I love it. No, babe, it's just you.
Yeah, it's like sometimes, you know, when you click on a TikTok sound and then it's literally got like 4 videos and I'm like, sorry, I've seen about 50,000 people using this. But then there's only like 100 videos or like 100 uses. And I'm like, oh, this is very niche to me. So
I'm getting at the moment spoon talk. Anyone else getting that?
No.
They present their spoons to the community for assessment. And it's like the handle of the spoon being a particular length or a particular curve.
Is like a particular community doing this, or?
I don't know. Well, they say, I don't know if this is very PC, but it's for the autism community.
Right. To be fair, because of Love on the Spectrum, I'm getting a lot of content of that nature, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm very picky with my spoons, so I'm here for it. I'm ready to rate them.
I mean, fair. I'm going to bring my spoons in for you to rate.
oh, let's do a TikTok on that. A TikTok. Do a TikTok of Tash rating Zoe's spoons.
I don't have very good spoons.
Oh, dear.
Like, they're all like different. I know. I think I'm going to have to get a new set.
Yeah, round bottom.
Okay, I'll send you some options and you can help me pick. Okay, but that also kind of speaks to what we just said about them seeing so many opinions, but they also end up in their own echo chamber. So then they just are in this opinion validating space, but it might not even be the right opinion because they haven't done the critical thinking on the initial opinion to be. Do you know what I mean?
It's like a vicious cycle that you get caught in. But I do think they're in like a very good and interesting position to be growing up in.
For in some ways, I think the world's going to shit a little bit.
Oh,
but
fully. Yeah, fully. And I think AI as well, with the development and how quickly it's moving, it is a tiny bit scary.
it is, but I think in the same way, like we talked about this on Strat Day, like AI is just going to open up opportunities that we can't even conceive of right now. And it's going to, this is so savage, but it's like one of my favorite phrases, it's going to eliminate human mediocrity. But it is like, you know, like when you want a creative on something, there's gonna be less jobs available because there's gonna be less doing needed. It's more thinking. So you're gonna need the best thinkers. And that is a really scary thing to deal with. And I think AI poses a threat to a lot of jobs which we need within society at this point in time to make sure people can be employed and can have an income. So there's a lot of concerns about it too. But I think it will help the output of our work be better.
Yeah, we were actually talking about this on the train earlier. It's like using AI as a complement or an enhancer rather than a replacement.
Yeah, I love it. I don't know how I did my job without
But you did it.
premium ChatGPT.
That's also like the 5-day-a-week thing though. Like we did it, but now it's there. I'm like, make this make sense. You know, like structure this sentence in a way that would make sense.
I do think we need to be a bit careful though.
We do, and I think we're actually just prepping a training session at the minute for everyone in the business because I will use it. I'll write something and then I'll pop in and I'll be like, pick this apart for me. Be highly critical of this. How could this be received by someone? And it's like I use prompting questions and then I'm like, okay, with this and this, please rework this, and then I will rework it again because you can spot an AI email from a mile off.
The dashes are longer.
They are. I've told mine to get rid of them. I'm like, anytime you want to use an M dash, use this short dash instead.
That's cheeky.
Yeah.
She's hacking ChatGPT.
But also just like deep research. Jack's been doing using this tool, which he's going to teach you all about. So you and anyone in the team that watches this podcast will get a sneak peek. But deep research tools to put in a brand or a topic, and they produce a podcast for you to listen to, which has all of the
yeah, that's so cool.
Wait, that's crazy.
Fully like AI voice, but it sounds like a human. It sounds like a human is doing a podcast on the topic of your choice. It's mental.
And it's like fully deep research, so it'll bring forward like all of the like common, uncommon opinions, what conversations are happening around the topic, what might be interesting to your audience.
Gosh. Whoa, that's insane. I feel like that would help Gen Alpha with exams.
Well, their exams are going to have to completely...
Because it's like when we were doing GCSEs or A-levels or whatever, I'd always go on like BBC Bite Size and like listen
BBC
to
Bite
like
Size.
literally listen to their like little sections of whatever I was revising. But if you can do something like that on AI and get like a whole podcast, even like playlist or whatever, just pop that in. That's insane. Like that's your revision notes done.
But revision for them is going to be so different because what's the value in being able to regurgitate information whenever you have it at your disposal? So it's not even needed. Like I think they need to completely redo school curriculums.
Gosh.
Sorry, not me running for prime minister right now.
She's like founder of the Social Shepherd, prime minister tomorrow.
I'd be a really bad prime minister.
Do you think?
Yeah, awful. I think everyone just needs to chill out a little bit. Like we're only on this planet for like 80 years if we're lucky. Like let's just calm down.
Honestly, yeah.
But I do think that they will get, it'll be more like strategic thinking, critical thinking, all of that kind of stuff. Like once you've learned the basics.
I remember for our uni exams, it was just a case of remembering references and dates. And I would sometimes put like 19 and then illegible scribble so they couldn't see it.
Yeah, literally. Okay, one last misconception, even though we're kind of darting around this, but that's fine. Marketing to Gen Alpha should be hyper polished and kid friendly.
I think probably two things there. Kid friendly to an extent. They need to be brand safe. We need to be aware of.
But then, like, as a kid, you always want to be watching the naughty things that you shouldn't be watching.
Maybe a fine balance between content that feels to them slightly older than they would probably usually consume, but also it's nothing problematic.
Because there's also, okay, yes, whilst it might be a good idea for a brand to market to a 12-year-old like they're a 16-year-old, you would probably get some good results for that. That's very immoral.
There are some ethical things there.
I actually think what we haven't really talked about is the fact that Gen Alpha is obsessed with gamification and interactivity of things, and you reference like playing games on your phone and stuff like that. But like quite chaotic as well. Like if we think like Nutter Butter, Roblox, for example, like Minecraft builds, like it's all quite, it's actually, the visuals are kind of backwards a little bit, like back to old style
almost
games.
retro.
Yeah, retro a little bit, but they're in those worlds. They're in like alternate universes.
Yeah, even like VR. Like I think my game of choice was Sims. Love The Sims, but it's kind of like they're bringing The Sims and making it like 10 times bigger for Gen Alpha. It's like I don't know what game it is. Mel showed it to me, but it was literally like The Sims, but the AI version of it, and it was insane. I think it's like a Korean or Japanese game, but it's literally a real person. And I was like, this, I think, might have stressed me out.
It's too much because we're not exposed to that kind of content or games before.
Literally. So it's like taking Sims to the extreme. That's how I literally just see Gen Alpha.
They're going to have such like technically advanced brains in terms of like, because if that's overstimulating for a Gen Z, but Gen Alpha has just grown up with that, like layers and layers and layers, like that's their,
I think for brands in the gaming space, there's massive opportunity. We were also talking about this earlier, the Burberry and Minecraft collaboration, where they had like exclusive stuff in the game. Like that's the kind of stuff brands need to be doing to prime Gen Alpha.
That's so, no, that's so true. Because even on like stuff like Fortnite, they do like collaborations with like celebrities and stuff like that. And it's like, you can get this Sabrina Carpenter like
little outfit
or whatever. So I think like the gamification and brands, that's such an untapped.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because I was thinking about this the other day, and like that also kind of falls into the realm of some form of social marketing.
Oh, 100%.
So like our industry as we know it is completely changing. And I'm actually really excited that we're in social, because like social is everything now. And like if brands aren't, like, it's not social first, it's just you are a social marketing agency, and we will start to see social media managers, people that have worked in social, become the next CMOs because they will have such a grasp on culture and audiences. But when we talk about something like that, like that's influencer marketing, but it's just not a personality, it's a game that has influence and attention.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think it's so untapped on social as well. Like I'd love if there was any campaigns to do with like game and a brand.
Do some spec work.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, get it done. You have my blessing.
Honestly, I'm down. I'm so down.
I'll call you on Monday.
Yeah. Slack me, huddle, do whatever you need to do. But I just think it's such like interesting way to reach people, and it's almost so subconscious. You're not even like paying attention to it. So I think that side of things is such a, with like Discord, Twitch, whatever that may be, there's such a like untapped social potential, I think, right now, that I think we'll slowly get to grips with it the more it happens. But I think that's definitely a Gen Alpha vibe.
I think it's good that they're into interactive and gamification of stuff, because like you're using your brain more whenever you're doing that. Okay, granted, you know, people zone in and they are uncontactable to the outside world, but at least you're not just scrolling on TikTok for hours on end. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Question: do we think that we've talked a little bit about how Gen Z is currently considered the most influential generation over the widespread population? Do we think that their influence is diminishing and it's going to move over to Gen Alpha quicker than it traditionally has?
I do think the trend is shifting a little bit. Like I used to pride myself in being on top of all the trends, and now I feel a bit like Gen Alpha's setting some of these. They're setting the precedent on platforms like TikTok, and we're not so much. It might just be me. I don't know how you feel, Sophia, but
I think I'd slightly disagree.
This is the difference: paid versus creative.
Only because I think, for Gen Z, I think coming offline is becoming more of a thing. Yeah. And I think it would take quite a lot for Gen Alpha to get people back online. I think Gen Z are very much like, we need balance on social, whereas Gen Alpha, I don't know, because they've grown up with it and they're still really in it, I think it's easier for them to influence each other rather than it is to influence.
But do you think that's a generation thing or just an age thing? Like I remember when I was 15 or 14 or whatever it might be, I was locked in on my iPod Touch, playing games or whatever it might be on the DS.
Talking Tom.
Yeah.
Potentially an age thing. Yeah. But I think Gen Z maybe value less, like, this is going to sound cocky, but I think Gen Z are like, they love themselves. Like they are like so confident in their opinion sometimes. They don't listen to...
But it's every generation at that age. Do you know what I mean? Like we all think that we're like the king at that age.
Maybe. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, maybe that's me. Am I the problem? But I would find it quite hard to listen to like a Gen Alpha opinion without doing my own.
Yeah, but they're 12 years old at this point in time.
Oh yeah, that's so true. I'm like, yeah, they're like 60. But maybe it's an age thing.
It'd be interesting to see how it changes as they grow up and as they start getting more purchase power and into the workplace.
Yeah, because it's interesting because they probably will have access to commerce easier than we potentially had at that younger age, like with TikTok Shop and stuff. And I think like people are probably given, like no one carries cash these days, so kids are gonna have tappable cards from an early age and stuff,
Apple
like that,
Pay, all of that,
which means that they actually might be more marketable from a younger age than we've traditionally seen.
Yeah, the path to purchase is so much shorter. I was talking to one of my friends who has children. She said they accidentally order stuff all the time on TikTok, or accidentally in quotation marks. They know they're ordering it, but they shouldn't be possibly.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's also like, if you have your Apple Wallet, just double tap, done. I'm like, is this real? Is this actually coming out of my account, or is this Apple paying?
I think that's like the thing at the minute, isn't it? It's like sometimes reality seems so removed, and I think it's when you with like something like money. Like we all grew up holding money in our hands, so we probably have a different relationship to its value than someone who's like never. Cash is not really going to be a thing.
It's like, if I was to give like a Gen Alpha cash, it's like, you know, when people do those videos where they're like, how would you hold a phone? And like someone's like this and then another person's like this. I genuinely think if you gave like a Gen Alpha cash, they'd be like, okay, like.
I actually get irritated when people give me cash.
So annoyed. I have to like go and deposit it in the bank. Like
I run
effort.
coins. They're just gonna like jangle at the bottom of my bag. People are gonna think I'm a boomer.
When you pay for anything with cash, I'm like, oh, it's free. Don't worry about it.
I feel judged though.
Yes, because you're like, it's already out of the bank.
Yeah, it's free. Yeah. So maybe that's a good thing though, that they kind of will be growing up in like this cashless kind of mindset, because it's like you will actually see everything.
Do you know what I'm so
that you're
excited
doing?
for is for AI glasses to be a proper thing. Like
Oh,
that is
really?
going to be a thing.
See, I hate that idea.
No, I love it. I have a theory. You know the way glasses are trending at the minute, like even if you don't need glasses, people are wearing
People
them.
are buying them, yeah.
It's because we are all going to be wearing glasses in the next 5 years. And like we won't carry phones, we'll have our glasses. You'll just be like, hey, show me my bank balance. It'll pop up in front of you.
See, in my head, that's like a Spy Kids thing that actually is never going to happen.
It is going to happen 100%.
Well, we'll watch this back in 5 years and see who's right.
Yeah. Oh God, prove me wrong. I just sat here like cowering in the corner.
It's like Zoe actually said this one time.
As Gen Zs, do we like Gen Alpha?
I actually don't know any closely in my personal life. We're not quite like my...
I guess millennials are raising Gen Alpha.
Yeah, and we're not quite... My siblings and family are not quite at the age where they would have children of that age. So I actually don't have that much exposure, I would say, beyond just what I see on like my FYP, for example.
So what do you think when Gen Z... And granted, there are some Gen Z raising children as well, but I guess, you know, the age of having children is increasing. What do you think Gen Z's kids will be like?
Gosh, big question.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, that's our kids, so super smart, super funny.
Yeah. Really intelligent. I don't know. It's such a... Because I think you'd want them to keep some values, right? Of like, I wouldn't want my kid just being glued to an iPad.
Yeah.
But then I'd also be like, have the iPad.
It's like the easy solution when children are bored.
I think it's different though, because I now have friends that have like young babies. And like, I don't think you get any value from putting an iPad in front of a 1-year-old. Yeah. Do you mean it's probably like when they get more of their like cognitive capabilities, it's probably good for them to use tech. Because also if you take tech away from your children, you're hindering them in later life. In like their employability and stuff like that. They need to be able to use it.
Do you think from that young though?
I think there's certain ways that you can bring it in from like 3 years old to like aid like learning and stuff like that. Like I love like when you can like, you know, kids like can learn to code, for example, and
Gosh,
stuff.
from 3 years old.
No, but do you not remember, like we were on Tumblr. I was like coding my Tumblr. Like I thought I was going to be like a coder.
I could not see you as a coder. I feel like you would be actually be quite good at it, but you're just too lively. Like they need to be sat in a dark room.
Yeah, literally. But stuff like that, I think that's like quite fun, no? Like, I don't know, like I didn't learn, I just kind of...
But I think that's because tech was really exciting for us because it was all so new.
Yeah, but I think there's a new wave of tech that Gen Alpha are going to get.
They're thinking about things like we think about things like way more manually, whereas they won't be actually coding. They'll be saying, make me a wet, like do this, do that. No, I want to see that. I want to try this. Like they won't be doing the doing. They'll be giving the commands. Bossy generation.
Yeah, literally. Wait, that's kind of scary though. No, it'll be fine. I'm chilling. Yeah. I'm chilling about it.
Yeah, I suppose the job roles will be different. Like we were talking about, this is very paid specific. But like 5 years ago, we're manually setting budgets based on performance. Now it's all AI. So like you were saying, the jobs are going to be way more strategic, particularly for them as they get older.
I'm just so intrigued to see how it all plays out.
I'm so intrigued. Now that you've said that, I'm like, I didn't even think about that.
All of our paid campaigns are going to run themselves.
They are. And like, yeah.
We just need to be more strategic.
Strategic and creative.
That's the fun part.
Maybe our job will be one.
Yeah,
We'll be
genuinely.
together.
I do genuinely think there is going to be, and like that's why like in the business I'm really trying to encourage everyone to be more of like a T-shaped marketer instead of having like I do this and I only do this. Like if you're purely executionally focused, like bye, sorry, but we're helping our team, so it's fine. Yeah. Okay, question. I'm going to give you split questions. If a brand comes to you and says my target audience is Gen Z, what are the first things that come to mind?
TikTok, 100%. We were debating Snapchat earlier. We don't know if Snapchat is now, people are moving away from it. So
No, it's going up,
well, we thought that.
but only on a messaging perspective.
Yeah, they use it to message, but we also think it's the slightly older Gen Z. And the younger Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas are not doing that so much.
It's really interesting because my brother is a Gen Z and he only messages his friends on Snapchat. Yeah. But like, so Snapchat have this spotlight theme that they've rolled out, which is the exact same as the TikTok interface. But he didn't even know it existed on the platform.
Yeah,
and
they
he
don't
uses it.
use
Like, they
it.
don't use it for entertainment.
Yeah, it's literally just for messaging. Like I will own, at one point, I could only contact my siblings through Snapchat. And I was like, that's sad.
And it's also like not the easiest thing to
like,
use.
let's all get back on WhatsApp. It's
And
great.
like the messages disappear. Silly billies. But no, I feel like Snapchat has had its prime time where, have you seen those TikToks of people being like, when they take photos of their babies and then they've all got like the dog filters on and stuff. Imagine your baby photos having dog filters on. Yeah. I think I would have killed my
Do you know what,
parents.
there might be like, people always go back in time for marketing campaigns. 20 years time, there will be a campaign with a Snapchat dog filter on.
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I am calling it. Like,
Easy. Yeah, TikTok and Snapchat though, I think.
Yeah, and then
Potentially YouTube.
like
shorts.
YouTube
But-
shorts.
I think shorts are like an old man thing.
Yeah, right. I don't think shorts
Old,
are.
I mean like millennial. I feel like for that short form content, you have specific platforms you go to. So like I go to TikTok for that, whereas I do know some people that scroll on Instagram Reels.
My dad, Instagram Reels.
And then YouTube Shorts for some people that maybe aren't on those platforms as regularly.
YouTube shorts kind of confuse me a tiny bit
Why?
because I feel like they're so random sometimes.
Algorithm's not as good.
The algorithm's just not.
The TikTok algorithm is elite. Like, I'm not gonna
It's really
lie.
good.
They have absolutely killed that. Yeah, they have. And like, it's so different for us now because we've got to handle these two very different algorithms. Like with Instagram, you know that your content is first going to be shown to 10% of your existing audience. And then if they don't engage with it above what they would traditionally engage with it, then it won't be pushed out to new audience members. And like, that's just how the algorithm works. So you know what you're competing with there. With TikTok, you're going out to random people to start with. And so that's why you'll end up with accounts where they might have like 2 million followers, but a video's got 200 views because your following doesn't matter. And that's what makes it so amazing. And also spooky at the same time as a platform. Meme culture for Gen Z, huge.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a bit chaotic.
Yeah. I think we've moved away from like text-based memes and it's more like sounds and trending audios.
Like little references here.
References, yeah.
And it's like, I think it's taste.
I think that stemmed from Vine though. I'm not going to lie. Like I think Vine had like a massive part in maybe older Gen Z.
It's like subconscious messaging that like, and like we'll all say something and we know exactly what we mean, but we'll struggle to articulate what we mean. And it's like you kind of speak this like different language a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Like why would I ever go into a meeting and say slay? But I do.
To be fair, you're the only person I know who does that.
No, Katie says it a lot
Yeah,
too.
we'll be in an internal meeting and Bobby will say something and I'm like, slay. I'm like, shut up. Like, shut up.
Very millennial of you.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, grim. See, this is what I'm saying. I'm like, oh, sometimes I'm like millennial and then sometimes I'm like, no, fully Gen Z.
Yeah.
Don't mess it up. But I think it is just having like your own little language.
Yeah, I was actually speaking. I was on a hen do a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about like my work compared to everyone else's work, and they were all, you know, they work in finance, or might be a physiotherapist and stuff. And I was talking to them because we had a debate a while back about should crop tops be allowed in the office, and I was like, I mean, I can't really like tell people not to wear crop tops to work whenever their literal jobs are to stay involved in internet culture. Like the conversations we end up having in this office are insane.
To be fair, workplace outfits between the generations is mad. My mum still wears a two-piece suit to work.
Does she?
She does, yeah. She says she doesn't feel like she's at work until she's got like a two-piece suit on. Whereas we're very chilled. I wouldn't personally wear a crop top to work. Best piece of advice I had was if you wouldn't be comfortable with your boss wearing it, don't wear it.
I would do like if I had a high-waisted trouser and a blazer on, I could do like I could see a tiny bit.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like fully low-waisted jeans, because
Oh,
that's
God,
what they're all wearing
no,
now.
Get the mid-rise and like the belly button. I don't need to see anyone in this office's belly button.
Yeah, no, that's so valid.
You know what I was thinking? I was thinking, would you wear it? That's what I was thinking in my head. Would Zoe wear it?
I mean, happy to be your cause of judgment.
So I think if you would wear it, it's probably fine.
How would we approach marketing to Gen Alpha?
Oh, I feel like that would be a really hard one.
I do think you would get integrations into games, YouTube, a lot of YouTube, a little bit of TikTok in there. But I think like for me, YouTube and gaming would be the way in for that.
Yeah, and more authentic. Like, they are so savvy to what's an ad and what's not an ad. So it needs to be something that's like the Burberry Minecraft thing. It just feels like a natural fit.
Yeah, and they really like buying into actually, because there is also a misconception that particularly Gen Alpha but also Gen Z aren't loyal to brands, and it's just they are loyal, but loyalty is given in a different way. It's all to do with like, is this brand relevant for me? Do I deem them as like?
Does it also align with you? Yeah. I think as well, like for Gen Alpha, even though they're growing up with a lot of AI, and even Gen Z kind of like the last bit, I think they still really value authenticity and being natural. Like, why would we take that away?
I guess they value authenticity, but if something's inauthentic, provided you tell them it's inauthentic, that's okay.
Yeah. Don't like, whereas I think before, especially maybe in like the older YouTube days, it was like, no, this isn't an ad. Kind of, it would be like hidden within it, and it would be like, you don't need to hide it, like just say, like, everybody needs to, you know, you're doing your thing, do your thing.
It's kind of like and I can see why some older generations struggle with it, but like they always think you have to be so prim and proper and you're on presentation, whereas our younger generations are much more like relaxed. And I think we can see if we feel like we trust someone, we trust them a bit more easier than maybe older generations. But then if we don't trust someone, it's like, we're just not going to listen to you.
Yes.
A bit more like decisive on that part. Is there anything that we haven't discussed that we should cover on this topic?
I think we've covered good ground.
Good ground. We've put the world to right. Okay. Next time, let's get a Gen Alpha.
Oh, heck
We were saying, we were like, are either of us nearly there? And then we realised absolutely not.
Are they even allowed to be on the pod?
We could get a 12-year-old on the pod. I've got nothing.
You got connections?
I don't know any 12-year-olds. We'll have to find one. We'll find a Gen A and we'll bring it next time.
I think that would be so fun though. Get their opinion on what they do.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, because I think they're smart. They're going to grow up really smart and savvy, a little bit bossy as well.
Yeah. Also,
kind of a good personality trait, am I right?
It's all well and good us chatting about what's good for Gen A, but they know.
Yeah, they know. Yeah, they know.
They know better than us.
All right, we'll get one on the pod. Thank you both so much for joining.
Oh,
and
of course.
Thank you so much for everyone that watched, listened, however you consumed this form of media. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and do leave a comment if there's any topics that you would like us to cover, and have a lovely week.